All right, guys, we'll get to the video here in just a sec. Before we do, I just mentioned a little fire sale, a little flash sale that we're doing here for Valentine's Day. So we'll run this, well, from the time you see this video, we'll run it through the 14th, Sunday night at midnight. Really, we're offering this. We've had just hundreds of new members come in, many coming in through the free Discord and looking to get access to the white belt. So we got a whole lot of people in that channel that are working through, and so we just thought we'd offer this up here as a little incentive. Many of you are now approaching your white belt test and getting ready to test out of that. So for those of you interested in progressing with the belt system, here's a little kicker for you. So we're taking 20% off the educational membership. Now, to get this, as you're checking out, right in your cart, it'll say discount code, and that's where you got to put in Valentine's, all uppercase. Right, just like it's written here. But this will be on our Twitter feed as well if you need to check it. All right, so 20% off the educational membership, and that stays 20% off month after month. So this is a pretty good savings. Now, the same here for our Ninja indicators, and those of you that may be familiar with what we're doing, that those have really started to take off, and this may not be the right place for that, but I'll be doing some training videos on Ninja over the weekend as well, so we'll emphasize that more. But just so you're aware, of any of you that are trading in the futures market as well using Ninja Trader, we're 14% off of all of our indicators over the weekend as well. All right, so there you go. Right, what do they say? Trading is for lovers of trading, right? So a little Valentine's for you. So there you go, all you lovers out there. Have at it, and now we'll get off to the Bitcoin video. All right. Happy Friday to all you trade devils out there. Sam here with you. It's Friday, the 12th of February here, a little after 12:30 for me. Oh, of course, we're going to look at Bitcoin. Pretty remarkable to sit here looking at Bitcoin just coming up on 50,000 here. From 3,000 to pushing 50,000, it's been an incredible ride. Now, as we sit here as Elliottians trying to get a handle on this count, which is always, Bitcoin can make it a little tricky to, if you're a purist. If you're a purist Elliottian here, the counts can get complicated here, and I'm always trying to simplify if I can. 5's and 3's, right? That's what we're looking for. That's what drives the market, 5's and 3's. So one of the things that I'll often do, and I'm sure other Elliottians do this, not an original thought, but when you're sitting here looking at a move like this, now first thing, note, given the range from 3,000 to 50,000, I am in log scale. All right, I think at this point, if you're looking big picture, you have to analyze it in log scale. So in doing that, it kind of clears up a few things. So all I've done here is just look and say, okay, where are all my corrections? Where am I either retracing or moving sideways? Now, in doing that, I think this helps us clarify the bigger picture count here. Now, this is the first one is the trickiest one because we go sideways. We don't get the traditional. What we'd hope for here is we'd get something like this, right? And we'd push that way, but we don't get it. We get this sideways move here. So for this to work, I think, regardless of the fact that we effectively go sideways, I think we have to call this as corrective because the trend is not progressing. So it's a stall as we flatline. Now, you can get a three-legged correction out of this. So if I just move this off for a second, you see my count here. I think we can do this here. I think we have to go A, and then we go into a three-legged B up here for the B, and then we finish with this little diagonal here that gets us down here to a C here. So I've wicked off this last little pivot as that's the lowest low that we come into. So the corrective action, again, it's effectively going sideways, but that's it. So we end up with a running flat. So if we bring this back down here, all I had done is just kind of wicked off the range. But you see what I'm after here. So I think that I'm comfortable with this. So if I pull back out here and look at this, what it's doing for me is it's just making the count pretty drop dead simple, right? So it is often the case with Elliott Wave, it's a bit of a guesstimate, an educated guess as to where we are, what's most likely, knowing that you can't be certain about anything until it completes and you see a bigger reaction. Then you work backwards, right? And that, to some degree, that's what I'm doing here. But having isolated the corrections as I've done here, I think it makes the count just jump out at you, right? So and this would be a modification, I think, perhaps from prior counts. We've looked at this as an alternate here, but I think this is now starting to solidify. So if I just do this here, taking into account all my corrective action, I think in the bigger picture, we're going to end up with this. So I think I do want to go 1, 2 here. Now, given that I can see a clear push, retrace, push, retrace, push, right? I've clearly got 5 swings here. So that makes me want to put the 3 here. Now this, I've simplified here just to call it an ABC. We're going to look at a little more complexity here because that is a little more complicated. But I think at this point, there's almost this would be I think most eliticians have got to call this their primary here, because now as we look inside of it here, now if we go in and we take advantage of what we can see here and we go 3, 4, 5. Now let me get that down here. We'll put it in green. All right, I think this starts to make the whole thing make some sense. Right? Not that it was not making sense. I mean, we knew we had a rip-roaring impulse here, but defining the waves here, I think, in log scale now. So you look at it and you say, all right, well, do we have the right look? Right? Do we have the right look here? Right? If this is, I'm getting another running flat here, but if I push up to this, do I have the right look? I think we do, right? So again, this being very typical for here. Oh shit, maybe I'm gonna do it here. Pardon me. Right, so I had that off here. So this would actually slide over like this, right? So it actually looks better now if I put that back in together. Look at it, right? You kind of get my point here. I'm always, does it have the right look, as Elliott would say? All right, does it have the right look? So now dialing that in a little bit better. That's a good looking impulse, right? And then just framing it off of these retracements. Now it gets a little wonky because I am in log scale, but now the kind of the capper here, what I'm really leaning into, right? And we've looked at this before, and a couple of times, perhaps a little overly bullish here. I didn't want to put the 3 here because I wanted to think that we were still seeking that 3, right? So I've been a little fib blind here, if you will, because of that, because I wanted to think this had more to go, right? That we were still seeking the 3 here. But as I look at it now, work through these, and then come back to this fib relationship, I think this is what we've got. I think this is indeed our 4. This internal impulse defines our 3. We get the complex here after the relatively simple here. We get flat followed by sharp. This all starts to make sense, but here's the cherry on top. So if I'm pulling from the low here and I go up to my 1, oh shit, now I got to get this out of here so I can see it. Prop in the way. All right, so from my pivot low here, I'm going up to the proposed 1. Now again, I've drawn that line there so I can get this right to the tick, and I put it right on that low. Now let me pull this over. It's just too precise. It's too precise, right? That's 1618 to the tick. 1, calling this the 2, right? Via the running flat here, finishing with that 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, right into the 1618 in log scale. It's just too perfect, right? And we, as you'll often hear me say, we human beings, not that perfect. Right, that's got to be software driven. So this just makes me really lock and load into this as my 3, right? And I've been reluctant. I didn't want to put the 3 there. I wanted to put this 3 there. But really now looking at it based on what we've got here, putting it all, now working backwards, right, as we always do when we're starting to dial in and nail it. I think this is what we got, right? So, which would imply that we're still seeking the 5th here, and we're seeking completion of the impulse off of the COVID low. I think perhaps, along the way we overcomplicated, right? And there's often the case, right? You're trying to figure it out. You're not sure. Well, it could be this, could be that here. I think now this starts to really lock and load here. And now again, look how these channels frame this so beautifully. So here our corrective channel. Now here when we're above this, right, as we split it, this is where we get impulsive, now correcting back to the channel. The other thing to note here is how remarkably good the Vegas wave is here at support all the way up. Yeah, we get a little bit below it here. We go sideways here. But once we push back up above it, tags it. Right, don't go, as I just said, sometimes you get a little fib blind. Don't go eye blind to the Vegas wave, right? It's just another set of lines, and after a while, you're not even paying attention to it. What side of the Vegas wave are we on? Right, think of that in the context of these channels. It's just beautiful support all the way up. All right, so if we're going to call this the 1, let's wick that off. All right, so this would be our 1 right up here. Looks like we double top it. Well, pardon me, here. Right, so it looks like we're going to use this as the A, B, C, into the B, into our diagonal, right, to give us the C of the 2, right? Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up into the 3. So now it gets a little funky down here. Now, for those of you that are into the puzzle solving and all the nuance of Elliott, right? This is where we're about to head. For those of you who are like, oh fuck, man, I don't care about that shit. Just what's the big picture? All right, well, you can probably fast forward to the end. Now, so that said, I'm giving you a clear off-ramp. Now, members, I know you're going to want to dig in here because this is this is often the case with it. This is a little bit, it's not quite perfect, but we've got to make do with what we've got here. Now, I'm simplifying it out here because, again, often that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to simplify this. Is this corrective? Yeah, right. And what's come out of here now? Yeah, I think we're probably pretty solid on the correction. So let's go down to the smaller time frame here. I think this is where I have this. All right, so we gotta deal with this correction here. Now, part of what's making here, I'm going to hide this, right? So we know we've seen the golden corner here. I'll bring that back. So let's focus right into here on the correction. How do we solve the puzzle? Well, at this point here, we had considered this. Okay, since it looked like, okay, there's a 3, and then we get the big, this was the Elon pump. We get this, we get an impulse that comes off of that. Well, how are we going to reconcile all of this? Well, now given what we have coming off of this, and we get a clear impulse followed by another, what appears to be another impulse just completing up here. Again, you got to work backwards. Okay, so what I'm completing something up here. It's possible I've completed it here, but I don't think so. I think this is 1, 2 of the 5. Now we'll get there. So working backwards. Do I have an impulse here? Well, I got to call it something. I got to label it as something. Do I have an impulse here? Yep, I do. There's my correction. There's my correction. There's my correction. Where are my 3's and 5's? Right. So I could do the same thing. I could just do the same thing and say, okay, there's my correction. Right, I could just frame it out this way. Often this is the easiest way to get a handle on a wave count. Where are the corrections? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like, right, I'm in the process of another correction right here. Right, looks like I'm in another one right here. Trying to correct this, right? If we kick out of here, right, the trend continues. All right, so with all of that kind of said, now coming back to this pivot, well, this was always a bit of a problem because we don't get a new low here. But at this point, I think we have to look at it this way. This is a 3, right? So how can we finish with the 3 here? Well, the only way we can do it is an ABC. So I think what we've got to do here is truncate the C of the Z here of the 4 at this degree. So per that, right, we got an ABC into the W. It's ugly, granted, right? It's ugly, right? But again, you're not going to get perfection every time. It is technical, right? I've shown you there's a couple of algo pulls in here that are spot on for this pivot. But we based on where we are and how we get over here, I think we got to call it an ABC into a W, ABC into an X, A, B. Here's a clear impulse. Got to account for it somewhere. So here's the A, B, C going into my Y down here. Now I got a 3 followed by a 3. Well, just process of elimination. Right, I think we're stuck with it, right? So while it's not textbook, right? We get a little bit of a break here. You get a 1-2 tick break on the golden zone, and then we come back down. I recall, I think this was the 50, right? So we had so with a break here, you go back to this one. Now we are denied. We are denied down here getting to that target, right? Because this is right again. That's the Elon pump. So with that established here, I think we've got to finish with a 3 here and just truncate it, right? We just missed getting a new low here, so it's WXYXZ. So frame it and give it some structure, and you've got the lines that I put on it. Now we come out of it here with an impulse. So I'm now at this point leaning into this as my 4 low rather than thinking ABC1, ABC2, ABC3, 4, thinking that perhaps we had a diagonal. I think we're coming out of here in an impulse, right, to go up and finish the 5. Now, of course, that could change, right? It's always the reality of Elliott Wave. These are all, you know, for lack of a better term, we pencil these in, right? Until they complete and we can lock it in, it's always subject to change. Right, as we've changed along the way, right? So, but what we do as we change it, we get more precision into where we are and what to expect next. So changing it, not necessarily a bad thing, just means the market gave us more information. It revealed itself just a little bit more. So if we look here now, let's see if we can put this all together. All right, so if we lock into the idea that we have our 4 here, now coming off of this, boom. Rip-roaring impulse, down for a 2. Well, then I got another impulse here. Well, it doesn't look like this would be 1, 2, 3. Wouldn't be long enough. All right, so I think we have to accommodate the idea that we've gone 1, 2, clear 5, right? That we have to account for this, clear 3. So that looks to me like 1, 2 yet again. So per our little box here, here's another correction. So 1, 2. Now we looked at this. This was right here. If we lock into that low, right, here's the one where we get a slight 1 tick, 2 tick, same thing right here, 1 tick, 2 tick. We get a little bit of a break on the wick, but obviously they stayed with it, right? Look what we do here. All right, so again, right, we see little breaks, a little bit. You see it more often. Again, my guesstimate, right, without knowing for sure, is that because this is now being taught by many, right, this is very well, many, shit, I see it all over the place now. I see golden zones, right? So I know I've had an influence in the markets. So it's very possible they recalibrated. Now maybe they're using the 66 or the 707, for whatever. We know they stayed with it, not because of this, but because of the reaction at the target. That's how we know it's an algorithm. Right, now look what we do here. We go right up and we get third target to the tick. Right, so 1, 2. Remember, if we go golden zone here, this is going to be an approximation for the 3. However, it doesn't play as a 3 because we get this in the middle of it. Right, so you want to be thinking 1, 2. Oh, there we go for the 3. Oh, it's perfect. It's a perfect 1, 6, 8. But the subdivision doesn't play, because we get a clear impulse here. Now note, interesting. We get the impulse right into the algo target reaction. So if we pull now, if we use that and say, okay, well, let's see what happened here. If that's the 2 here, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Okay, well, it's not textbook right to the 50, 6, 1, 8 where you'd want to see it. Note what we do. All right, it is right into the lips of the Vegas wave. Right? Don't go eye blind to that. ABC. So it's a little skinny. So maybe you were down here, looking for this right here where we know to expect it. And you got left with your mouse in your hand. Okay, well, that's going to happen, right? It's going to happen. What we're looking for is consistency. So if you miss a trade here because it didn't come into your zone, okay, well, welcome to life. Welcome to trading life. You're going to miss trades. God, if I had $1 for every time I had a touch no fill day trading in the S&P, I'd have a whole lot more Bitcoin than I do now, right? I mean, it's just the reality of trading. You're going to miss trades. You're going to say, oh, I don't buy breakouts, and a breakout's going to go. It's just reality, right? You got to accept it. Okay, so you missed one, right? Where's the next one, right? As I often say, trades like buses, right? Always another one coming along. Okay, so where am I? What am I thinking now? Okay, 1, 2, right? I know I had a good golden corner here. We know we had that. Oh, shit, if I can find it now. We had that beautiful pitchfork on this, right? Look how this pitchfork is framing this. Again, leaning more into the idea, okay, well, I got a pivot here. Here's my truncation here. I don't want to, I got it locked. I don't want to move this here. Come here. Am I unlocked? Can I unlock you? Come on. Unlock. There we go. I don't want to move this here, right? It's too sharp. So I'm going to go back a pivot. Now, is it framing the market here? Well, here was the golden corner, right? Is this framing it a little better, right? Here's your 80% realized. Now look, right, so now you put this on here and the geometry starts to make a little more sense. So we come right to the Vegas wave. We also get the lower parallel of the median lines that are spot on perfect. So, you know, maybe you were there waiting for, you know, you had the 150 on the edge of that, right? Maybe you had this on. Let's put it in green so you can see it. All right, so you're down here and you're thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm going to get the sliding parallel at the 50 again. Sometimes you're going to miss trades. All right, it was right here at the inside, at the runner here. So the geometry pops. What do we do? Right up to the upper parallel, right? And where we're tagging that trend line from the channels as we look at them out here at this bigger degree. So we're tagging that up here, right? So tagging it. So as we look at this 1, 2, well, it looks like I got a clear impulse here. So I got to go 1, 2, 3. It's long enough, right? So if this is my 1 and this is my 2, well, I sure cleared the 100, right? Ideally, right? We want it to get up here, but it doesn't get there. Note I have that wicked off here with an alert should we get there. So I can live with this. Okay, so I get only the second most common target for a 3. 1, 2, 3. Look at my 4, right to my median line. Right? Is this the geometry that's framing the market? Yeah, I think we can lean into that. So coming from this now, all right, where am I? If this is my 2 and that's my 3, right? Well, no, right here, right to the 38 and the median line. Now there's a nice little 3 that brings me down here. Okay, Elliott, very helpful here. Now, what am I doing here? This sure looks like I'm just getting started here. Okay, well, this is my 4. Is this going to be my 5? Well, sure, it could be. But it looks to me like if we just try and label this up just simply, well, it looks like 4, right? That's what we're trying to work that in. All right, well, why do I think that's not the 5? All right, pretty straightforward. Again, you got to have an impulse in the 3, so, you know, it's a little ugly. So you'd have to put oh shit, we do it. Yeah, I'd probably have to put it here and go A, B, C into for the internal 3. Not overly concerned about it. Sure looks to me like 3. This is the 4, right? Now perhaps, right, there could be a little more drift in this. 4 could be lower, come back to the median line. But right now, no reason to assume anything other than that right here, and that we're going up to get this 5. All right, is that going to be the 5th? Well, there's a couple of different ways we can look at here. So if we push all of this up and try and connect all the dots from what we're trying to do. Well, all right, so if this is 1, 2, let's see if we can do it here. I'm going to take this and hide it just to free up the space here. Okay. All right, 1, 2. We're looking for 3. So let's start with that measure. So from that pivot to that pivot. Okay, where do I want my 3? Well, I want it right here, but I've already tagged that. So next up, if it's not going to be here, I'm going to be looking at somewhere between the 200 and the 2618. So I'm going to just pop this up and say, all right, can I get there? This would be, you know, the extreme here. If we're going to get 2618 out of this, which would put us up at, was putting us at 57,393. All right, so that would be an upper target relative to this 1, 2. Well, do we have the wave structure here? Does that play if we're going to get out of this? All right, well, we know that this is a target area, right? This is what we're after here for a target relative to this 1, 2. Okay, so if I've gone 1, 2, now a couple of possibilities here. One, this is still completing here, and we're going to relabel this. The 3 will go up higher, right? That's a possibility. You have to kind of look at it and say, okay, right now I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? But it could be 1, 2, 1, 2. We don't know. Right now, I got to put the 3 there because I got to call it something because something completed. Given the depth of retracement, I'm more inclined to put the 4 here than anything else, than to be thinking 1, 2. But you know, here we get a shallow 4 here. Pardon me, a shallow 2. I could get the same thing here. Again, we don't know until it completes, and then we can work backwards. So right now, 1, 2. All right, well, I've got a candidate here for a completed 1, 2, 3. So length of the 1 projected from the proposed 4. All right, now, so a common target would be 100%. Right, so to look at this. Right, now how is that going to line up relative to that 1, 2? See, you're trying to put the roadmap together. All right. If I'm up here getting into this zone here, well, now I'm, you know, here, we just looked at, anywhere between the 200 and the 2618 is kind of my target zone. Well, here's the 200. Are we going to get that far? You see why I have an alert right there. I want to know if we get up here. That's what's my alert at? Just 52 and change. I want to know if I get up here, how am I looking here? Because if I go up here and I can finish this 5 right here, and then I start to get a retracement, okay, well, I know I've completed the impulse. Oh, fuck. Where are you? Oh, shit, I have that little thing. Oh, where's my little... Oh, fuck, that just doesn't matter. I was looking for that ellipse that I used to use. Gotta be... Here it is. All right, so I'm completing this right here. This is what I'm trying to complete. Off of this too low. Off of the Elon pump, retrace. Now I want to complete an impulse here to give me this 3. All right, if I complete that 3, right, I'm looking for the 4 and the 5 up here. So this becomes right now, this is the one that's shaky. We don't know for sure. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going up for the 5. We're going to complete the 3 here. Right now, that's I mean, certainly that's a strong contender. The alternate is that we're gonna have a kicker here, right? So that this could be, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, this could just be when we finish this 1, 2, and we're gonna go 3, 4, 5. We're gonna go bigger. So you know, it's tempting to always think bigger, but right now you don't have the evidence of that. So as it sits here, 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like an impulse is going in. You got to lean into the 3 here, looking for the 4. So if you're trying to anticipate, okay, well, either I'm going to be a buyer up here, which is, you know, has a degree of danger because you're buying up here. Here's the previous all-time high. Are we going to buy into that? Well, I think the 50K will be a natural magnet, but there's also going to be just natural resistance up there. There'll be people looking to push it there because knowing that people are anticipating it, they'll be thinking, oh, we just broke 50, we're going to keep going. It would not surprise me at all if we hit that round number and we see a little pullback. So you can kind of see how we could come up here, hit that round number, then we'd be completing. Oh shit, where's an arrow? We'd be completing. Where's 50? Right here, right? So you'd be completing this right here, and now you're thinking, oh, is the 5 in? Well, I didn't get those upper targets. So that's where I come back to the alternate would be that's 1, 2 before we go 3, 4, and we're going up to some of these higher numbers. Now we're pushing over 60, right? That's not unreasonable. Now we do have to kind of look at the wave relationships. We know that 3 is longer than 1. But we don't, you know, I mean, we could have a massive rip up here. But looking at that 3 relative to the 1, it makes me think, oh, maybe I'm back here rethinking this, right, based off of that. Right now, this is where it sits, right? And I think I think as Elliotticians, we all can kind of come in here and work and say you want to have a couple of alternates. What I'm trying to do is how am I doing? 26 minutes. What I'm trying to do is get this in context relative to the bigger count. So if I come back out here and say, okay, if I'm looking at if this is going to hold as my 4, then I can do the same thing here. I can look at my relationships. And again, granted, I'm in log scale, so keep that in mind. I can keep the length of the 1. Oh, fuck, I got to do this again. Move you so I can see it. Let's be precise. Length of the 1 projected from the proposed 4. I'm going to use the little yellow line here that I drew, right? Okay, so if I've got a target up here, I'm going to use the most common target up here of 100% the length of the 1. Well, that's 73. So now you start to look at this and, oh, let's go to a 2 hour. Let's say, okay, well, how am I going to get to 73? Do I have the structure here to get me that high? Well, let's just kind of look at it, right? So what you'd need is 1, 2, rip and 3, right? We need a rip and 3, 4, 5, right? So then we maintain the right look. So if this as we are counting it now, let's see if I can do this and not lose you here. All right, so right now we're counting that. Let me get the labels on. That's right. So we're counting this as 1, 2. Right now we've got this as 3, 4, 5. Looking for 5 here. Questionable, right? So shallow 2. Are we going to go 1, 2, 1, 2? Is this 1, 2 extension in the 3? That would be a big extension. So right now, what's problematic in here is this little fucker right here. Right here, we've got this nice clear impulse. So what are we doing with that? This, you got a little impulse here, right? So this is typical Bitcoin, right? So, oh, fuck, man, it would have been perfect. So if this is 3-4, now I need a really rip-roaring extension in the 5th. And this is already, that sure looks like a 4. Right? Doesn't look like a 2, looks like a 4. So are we stalling out up here? So the alternate would be we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to have a mass. We would need an extension in the 5th. Right? If this is, again, let's say we kick a little higher, we get up to the parallel, we get that nice geometry. If we come down off of that, well, here, look what here, if we hit that, that's right around 50. So you can just see how it could play. It could come up here, we tag 50, we get that nice round number, there's a little volatility there, okay, yeah, we hit 50, there's a million tweets, Bitcoin's at 50,000, and then a whale will just drop it there, right? Just because they can. Right now, I don't have a crystal ball, but you can kind of think that through and say, okay, well, if I complete up here, well, shit, what did I complete? Well, let's look here. If this is 1 and we're going to get another shallow 2, well, hey, all right, I could go up here to 56. Right? Or maybe this is 1, 2, right? We don't know. So we're kind of struggling with this in here going, all right, well, shit, how do I make sense of this? Where's the next opportunity, right? For those people who are like, oh, God, enough detail. Where's the next opportunity? Well, something has to complete. Right now, we don't have anything completed up here. So even if I go to the hourly, this little fucker doesn't look like it's complete, right? So this needs one more little push up here. We need one more little push to say, okay, I just completed a 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what did I complete? Well, again, I'm going to take you back to where we started, right? Where are all my corrections? Where are my corrections, right? This is how same way I'm going to approach it. Where are my corrections? All right, is this one of my little corrections? That's getting smaller. If these are my corrections, well, at this point, I don't know that I can really lock into a count here. I'm not sure. What I want to see in terms of the next opportunity is for something to pop up here and give me this, right? That's what I want, right? So then I can go, oh, okay, we completed. Maybe that's 1 of 5 because I know I've got a target up here. I could be going well into the 60s, into the 70s. Oh shit, where's my other one? Right, I could certainly be going. Let's go back to my 8 hour. Right, can I get that high? Can I get up to the 2618? Well, right, so this is going to need a lot of legs up here. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just keep projecting up, looking for where are my corrections, right, to help me identify the framing. So right now, it's making it hard for me to really know for sure where I am. I want to see it getting up here, right? I want to see it getting up here to let's call it 75. How am I going to get there? Well, if we complete up here and this becomes 4 and then a 5, would that make sense? Well, if this is 1 and this is, we'll use that as our structure. Well, we're going to need a mighty big rip here in the 5. Right, to get up 200, 227 relative to this 1, 2, which implies maybe more in the 3 for the 4, right? Again, and I'm just using the structure here. I don't have the 4. I don't have it. I want to put all of this higher, right? I want the 3 higher. I want that up here. This higher would help as well. Then I'm going into this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now it starts to make sense. Now I can see the roadmap to get there. I want that 3 right there, right? But I got to deal with that subdivision here. And right now it's unclear. So I would not be buying up here at these highs. That's me, right? You know that I don't buy up at highs. I wait for them to put it on sale. So the next retrace, I'm chomping at the bit. The other thing where we can, oh shit, am I in log? Yeah, I mean, let's take it out of log here just to look at this geometry here, right? So you can't use a regression channel or anything else. So if I'm in log, right, you go to a regression channel, right? It's wonky, right? Because of the compression. So even a regular channel, a regular channel's all right. We could do it that way. Okay, so 1, 2, looking for that push up here. 4, this is where I like it, right? So any of this structure that we can use, so we can Do it this way. Okay. Come back down and test it from above, right? It's very, very common, right? Just give me the 4, 5, right? So retrace into that. Now look, I'd have center channel of the upper parallel channel that we looked at. If I can come back and hit that center channel in line with this structure, in line, if this is my 2, right? So we can kind of look at it this way and say, okay, if I get up here, right, look where I'd be. Right in between the 50 and the golden zone with this structure, right? So this, right, if this, so candidates are, this is 1, 2, 3 coming down for the 4, or the whole thing completes as 1, 2, and I'm going big 3, and I'm going even higher. I'm going up into 87. All big numbers here to anticipate, which, you know, we can, right? That's a little bit of bull porn, but when we come back out here and look at the big picture, it kind of makes sense. I have to go out here. Right, kind of looking at that, you can see how, so any opportunity here, and again, I don't have this pivot up here, so that's why I have an alert up here at 50, right? Any pullback here into this would be, let's call it 40, 41 to 38, anything in that, I'd pay attention, right? I'll say it that way. So let's see how we finish there. Then if we get a retrace, how do we look? Does this structure hold us, right? You can kind of see the whole roadmap up here going up. Now there's 80, right? 82, 87. Starts to look pretty sexy. Okay, guys, there you go. That's probably long enough. I think I gave you everything you can chew into there. All right, I think that'll cover us. All right, keep in mind that Valentine special, you can find that. Oh, shit, there'll be a link underneath, or it'll be on our Twitter feed, or you can always reach out to it. Oh, it's for those of you that are commenters. We've had some spam and somebody using my logo to make it look like it's me commenting and spamming under my own videos. So we have to, all the comments get held for review. So if you're wondering why your comment doesn't show, that's why. Yeah, some asshole doing that. Okay, guys, there you go. Have a great weekend. I hope this is helpful, and we'll talk to you next week.